The ballroom was glowing with crystal chandeliers and shimmering golden lights. Guests whispered, their eyes darting toward the man who had just walked in. He was tall, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in a midnight black tuxedo, and his presence silenced the crowd like a storm rolling in. This was Alexander Knight, the billionaire everyone knew but few truly understood. Alexander had been away from the world for 5 years. After a tragic accident that took his parents and left him scarred emotionally, he had locked himself away in his mansion, refusing social gatherings, refusing relationships, refusing love. Business still thrived under his sharp mind, but the man behind the empire was hidden, broken, and distant. No one had seen him with a woman in half a decade, and people whispered rumors about his heart being cold and untouchable. But tonight, for reasons nobody could comprehend, Alexander was here, at a wedding that wasn't even his. The bride, Evelyn Hart, stood near the altar in a delicate white gown, her beauty glowing like dawn. She wasn't marrying out of love but out of duty, bound to a man who only desired her family's fortune. Her eyes betrayed sadness, though her lips tried to smile for the crowd. Alexander's gaze caught hers, and the world stopped. It was as though he could see through the veil of her forced happiness, and she could sense the loneliness hidden beneath his guarded exterior. His footsteps echoed as he walked closer, shocking the entire room with the boldness of his approach. "I haven't seen a woman in 5 years," Alexander's deep voice carried across the hall, drawing gasps. "But tonight, I see you. And I won't let this happen." The bride's fiancé, Richard, turned red with rage. "What nonsense is this? This is my wedding. Security." But Alexander ignored him completely. His hand extended toward Evelyn. The tension in the room thickened, whispers turned into an uproar. Evelyn froze, her heart pounding. She had never spoken to this man before, never even met him, but something about the certainty in his eyes felt like salvation. "You don't belong to him," Alexander said, softer now, only for her ears. "Come with me." Evelyn's breath caught. Her entire life had been a cage, her choices controlled by her family's expectations, her worth tied to wealth. And yet here was a stranger, a man as untouchable as the stars, offering her a way out. Her fiancé's voice thundered again, demanding obedience. Her family looked at her in horror, urging her not to humiliate them. But her heart, the one thing no one had ever asked her about, was screaming for freedom. And then, in front of everyone, Alexander cupped her face, lowered his lips to hers, and kissed her. Gasps filled the room. It was bold, reckless, and forbidden, yet in that kiss, Evelyn felt alive for the very first time. When he pulled back, he whispered, "Marry me. Tonight." The hall erupted into chaos. Richard lunged forward, but Alexander's men, loyal and powerful, appeared from the shadows to block him. Evelyn's father tried to protest, but her mother, with tears in her eyes, said nothing, perhaps realizing her daughter's heart had chosen. Alexander didn't wait. He led Evelyn out of the hall, past the shocked guests, past the whispers, into a waiting car that sped into the night. Evelyn's hands trembled in his, her mind spinning with disbelief. "Why me?" she asked softly. "Because I see myself in you," Alexander replied. "Trapped, longing to be free. And I'll never let you feel alone again." Within hours, a private chapel stood ready. The night was quiet, with only the stars above as witnesses. The priest looked bewildered but obeyed Alexander's command. Evelyn's gown, though wrinkled from her escape, shimmered under the soft light. While Alexander stood tall, his presence unshakable. "I thought I would never love again," Alexander confessed as he held her hands. "But you walked into my life when I had stopped believing. Tonight, I choose you." Tears slipped down Evelyn's cheeks. "And I choose you, though I barely know you. Because something in my soul tells me you're where I belong." When the words were spoken and vows exchanged, Alexander kissed his bride once more, this time not as a reckless claim but as a promise. A promise of protection, of love, of healing. The world called it madness. The newspapers wrote about the billionaire who hadn't touched a woman in 5 years suddenly marrying a stranger in one night. Some called it a scandal, others a fairy tale. But for Alexander and Evelyn, it was destiny. In the days that followed, Evelyn moved into his mansion, a place she had only ever seen in magazines. At first, she felt like an intruder in his world of marble halls and glittering chandeliers, but Alexander never let her feel out of place. He showed her the hidden gardens he had planted during his years of solitude, the piano he had stopped playing after his parents' death, and the library where he had lost himself in books to escape reality. Slowly, Evelyn's laughter filled the empty corridors, and Alexander's frozen heart began to thaw. He would watch her reading by the fireplace, her soft smile lighting the room more than any chandelier ever could. She would catch him staring sometimes, and instead of looking away, he would walk over, press a kiss to her forehead, and whisper, "You're the reason I live again." Of course, the world didn't leave them in peace. Richard tried to ruin Alexander's empire, Evelyn's family accused her of betrayal, and gossip threatened to tear them apart. But together, they stood strong. Evelyn's courage balanced Alexander's power, and Alexander's protection gave Evelyn the freedom to finally be herself. One evening, as they sat in the garden under the stars, Evelyn leaned against him. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Alexander smiled for the first time in years. "Regret finding the only woman who made me feel alive again? Never. You were the risk I was waiting to take." She kissed him softly, her heart full. For once, she wasn't living by duty, by fear, or by expectations. She was living by love. And as Alexander held her close, both of them knew that sometimes the wildest choices, the reckless leaps of faith, are the ones that lead to forever. Because the billionaire who hadn't seen a woman in 5 years had finally found the only one he would ever need.